Hi everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And today we are going to be talking about our top 10 most anticipated games of 2024.
Yes, today's video was actually planned to be revisiting our top most anticipated games of 2023, but we realized at this point in the year, we have only played about half of those. So
Yes.
onward and upward to the next year, which is this year, 2024.
There's just so many games,
So many.
so little time. And so today we are going to be talking about the 10 games that have already been announced that are releasing in 2024. We figured we'd do this now, sort of ahead of the summer convention season. But before we get into our list, today's video is sponsored by Van Ryder Games, who are currently running a Kickstarter for Season 5 of their graphic novel adventure series. These graphic novel adventures are not your typical game books. Within this series, you'll become an active participant in the exciting stories that unfold in each beautifully illustrated graphic novel. And each time you play through an adventure, the story unfolds depending on the decisions that you make.
There are currently 4 seasons to explore, and right now, Season 5 is on Kickstarter with 5 new graphic novels to dive into. There's Zone 25, Zombie, 2 new Sherlock Holmes adventures,
There's Supernatural and Darkness Over London.
and The Obsidian. So as you can see, there's something for everyone.
And just so you know, these books are all hardcover, they're fully replayable, and they can be enjoyed by 1 or more players. And if you've never played a game book before, they're also very accessible. So if this interests you, make sure to check out the Kickstarter for Season 5 of the graphic novel adventure series, which is linked in the description below. And thank you again so much to Van Ryder Games for sponsoring this video.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into our list. Now, of course, like we always do, we have some honorable mentions, so let's talk about those first.
Yes, they're primarily going to consist of games that we've already covered or we already have plans of covering. So we can't put it in the list, I guess.
Sure.
If you watch our channel, you know that we tend to cover games when they're on Kickstarter. And so a lot of games that are releasing this year were actually on Kickstarter the year before, or sometimes even the year before that.
Yep.
So games such as Inventions, which was a Vital Lacerda game, you're not going to see on this list because we've already played it. Critter Kitchen, I believe Andromeda's Edge is coming out this year. And that's just to name a few. I'm sure we're missing a lot. But as for games that we are planning on covering, Ironwood, which is the new upcoming Mind Clash game that's 2-player only. It actually originally made our list, but since then we've learned that we're going to be covering it.
Yeah.
So it is an honorable mention.
Yeah, just like that, Windmill Valley from Board and Dice is
Yes.
another game that would have made the list, but because we are covering it, we're going to exclude it. And then also Craftwagon, there is going to be a reprint and a more deluxified version of it. It's a game that we're familiar with and we have played before, so we've kind of excluded any kind of reprints or
Yes.
deluxified versions of games.
Right, that is a true honorable mention. We're not necessarily covering that one, but it is a game that we actually own the original version of. This is a game designed by Matthias Kramer, and I believe it is about making automobiles.
Yes, it's kind of in the same kind of vein as Kanban, but a very different game altogether.
Very different game, yeah. It's a Euro, and it's great, and it's getting a reprint. So I'm
Yeah.
very curious to see what the reprint has in store.
Okay, so let's move on to the list. Now, this list is a combined 10 that we've come together and agreed upon. And so let's start with number 10. Number 10 for us is from GMT Games. This game is called Vijaya Nagara, the Deccan Empires of Medieval India, 1290 to 1398.
Wow.
It's a mouthful, but
It's like
if
an
you look
anime
up
title.
Vijaya Nagara, that's it. So this is a up to 3-player game, and it is part of their new series of games that are supposed to be coming out called the Irregular Conflict series. So GMT Games, what we like about them are the coin games. Coin is counterinsurgency. That's the CO and the IN. We've played a handful of them. And so this one is based off of medieval India, where everybody is going to be taking on the roles of 3 different factions. And the coin games, which is what the Irregular Conflict series is based off of, is highly asymmetric. So everybody has their own kind of style of play, win condition. So obviously, we don't have this game yet, but it's highly anticipated for us because we both really, really enjoy playing coin games. And then this one playing at 3 players, I kind of like that idea because it's quicker to get into. This one's playtime says about 90 to 120 minutes. Most coin games, if you ever search them on BGG, is going to be about 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
Some of them can be a little bit shorter than that, but most of them are a lot longer, so they're harder to table. So hopefully we can get this one tabled. 3 players sounds great to me because that is the easiest play count that we can do, aside from 2 players, of course. So yeah, that is number 10 on the list, Vijaya Nagara.
And some of the games on the list, by the way, are going to lean more closely towards one person over the other. And so this one was more of your choice.
Definitely, yeah.
Naveen really loves coin games. I like them a lot. but I'd sort of just play whichever ones he chooses.
Yep.
If I were to pick a GMT game that's coming out this year, there's one called A Jest of Robin Hood. I believe it has a Robin Hood theme. The one thing about the coin games that I would like is more of a fantasy theme, but that's sort of not what they're about. And so that one looks really cool.
Yeah, that one is a, I think, two-player
Two-player
only.
only.
One person plays as Robin Hood and the Merry Men, and then the other one is Little John, from what we understand. Highly asymmetric, also a coin game.
Yeah.
So have not seen that one in person yet, but would really like to play that one as
Yeah,
well.
looks cool. All right, moving on to number 9. This is a game that was actually on Kickstarter. And it's designed by two designers who we really appreciate for their design called The Search for Planet X. And so this is a game published by Road to Infamy Games, designed by Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett, and it is called Fromage. So Fromage is a cheese making game, I believe. From what I understand, this is a game where you are simultaneously taking actions with your cheese meeple. There's a board that is split up into 4 slices, I believe. And on your turn, or in the round, you're going to be taking your actions on the slice that is facing you. Because afterwards, it'll rotate and the cheese will also age. And so I just think that the sound of that sounds really cool. I'm really, really interested in games that are designed by designers who I have enjoyed their works of already. The Search for Planet X is currently our favorite deduction game.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to hear about a worker placement game that's designed by these two. And the art is really, really nice. I think the art is what drew me into it initially. And then we sort of saw, oh, it's designed by these two designers and it's simultaneous worker placement. It sounds really interesting. And then
it kind of has like that art from like an initial looking at it, like in the 90s, those like Scholastic magazines in like doctors' offices and things like that.
Interesting.
It kind of looks like that a little bit. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Maybe it's the color palette.
The color palette.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the extent of what we know about the game. It has a cheese theme, and I really love cheese. So I feel like there's not really a whole lot of games out there that are themed specifically
Not that
around
I
cheese.
know. First Rat was the last.
That's themed around
cheese
rats.
game, but there was cheese. Yeah.
There is cheese.
Mousetrap. But yes, that is our number 9. That is Fromage.
All right, moving on to our number 8. So this game is sort of a new one for us because this designer and publisher has actually put out a lot of games, but I don't think we've ever covered any of them on our channel before. And so this game is designed by Ryan Lockett, and it's published by Red Raven Games, and it's called Creature Caravan. Now, this game leans more towards me than you, because I've actually played a few of Ryan Lockett's games in the past.
I don't think I've ever played any.
You
of those
have.
games. Which one?
You played Above and Below.
Above and Below.
That's how we
right.
know.
Yes.
That's how we know that I'm more of a Ryan Lockett
Story.
gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why, because not all of his games are like this, but some of them, including Above and Below, which I think is the game that really sort of put his designs on the map, they have a narrative aspect to them. So all of Ryan Lockett's games, I believe, or at least most of them, are designed, published, and illustrated by him, which is incredible.
It's wild, yeah.
And he has a very specific art style, which I find to be gorgeous. I think Ryan Lockett is such an amazing artist. And that's what I appreciate about a lot of his games. But not only is the art style so specific to him, but they're also like Euro games. And when you do things, there is a narrative component to some of his games. And just reading through the booklet, I think is really interesting and something that Naveen doesn't typically care for in games. So we haven't
long
really...
passages in games for some reason. I don't know. For me, it just kind of it slogs down the game a little bit.
Give him
but
cubes.
cubes.
Cubes in a map and pieces.
Tell me these
like,
2 reds
that's-
become a purple.
yeah.
That purple then becomes a yellow.
There you go.
Love it. Perfect.
And so anyway, this year I am looking forward to trying some of his games again. I believe Creature Caravan does not have a narrative component from what I saw. It seems like, I don't know if it's lighter, but definitely seems like a shorter game than something like Above and Below or Near and Far.
I think it's listed at like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
45 to 60 minute long.
Yeah, you're building a caravan. You're still traveling around the map with it, but you're also placing dice along the caravan. And the art in this one is gorgeous. I feel like it looks a little bit different from some of his other art styles, which I'm always really intrigued by. I really, really love it when games have just like they're full of art. And the cards in this game are just absolutely beautiful. That's pretty much all I know about this one. It is part of the series, which I'm forgetting the name of now, that has a ton of titles in it, including Above and Below, Near and Far, Islebound, which is another one that I'd played, and Sleeping Gods, which I don't think either of us had played before.
I think Sleeping God scares me. I see that.
Scares you?
I see. If you ever look
Gives
it
you
up,
nightmares?
I've looked it up on BGG. You look at like the playtime, and you're like, 900 minutes.
Well, it's a campaign.
I know.
It's like this is like a life. These games are lifestyle games, right?
know.
Like you do them, you experience the whole thing.
They
so.
are highly rated.
Yeah.
People really, really like those ones. But I think just seeing that, how long
Yeah.
the playtime. But this one
Is not like that.
It's not like that.
Don't
45
worry.
to 60 minutes. Hey, I can do that.
So anyway, that is our number 8, Creature Caravan.
Okay, moving on. Our number 7. This is a deduction game that's coming to us from All Play this year, and it's called A Message from the Stars. This game is designed by Clarence Simpson, and from what we understand, it is basically a cooperative game or a team game that you can play where you are trying to gather information or
Aliens are speaking to you.
they're sending us messages, and we are
Yeah.
on Earth as humans are trying to decode these mysterious messages that are
Yes.
being sent to us from aliens.
Yes.
If you ever seen a movie called Arrival, maybe 5-6 years ago that came out, maybe even longer, I don't know. But it's kind of like that, where there's aliens that are trying to communicate something to humans about either, who knows, if it's going to be something positive, negative, they're trying to help us, they're trying to hurt us, we don't know.
It's just the translation
It's
part.
just the translation
We
part.
don't-
No,
we don't actually know.
I'm giving a slight movie review in the middle of this. But I get the vibe of that movie Arrival from this game. I think that's kind of like what the game is semi-modeled after.
Okay.
So other than that, I don't really know exactly too much about it. I know you're trying to deduce both numbers and words to try to crack this code
Yeah.
and try to find out the mysteries as to what exactly they're trying to communicate to us.
Yes, we both chose this game for the list because we love deduction games. And Clarence Simpson also designed, I believe, Chomp, which was
Chomp.
another all-play game that I really enjoyed. And All Play makes really, really compact games with high production value. So the box cover of this game looks absolutely beautiful. I'm sure that the components are going to look great because all of their games are pretty much like that.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to checking this one out for sure.
We don't really we like deduction games. Like we like Turing Machine. We talked about the Search for Planet X. And so
Cryptid. There's a bunch more.
Decrypto is the
Decrypto,
other one.
yes.
That's like a word deduction game.
Yeah.
Team based. So this one we really enjoy deduction games. So as soon as we saw that this was coming out, especially from All Play. We knew that it would probably be something that I'm hoping is going to be easy to get into, like most of their games. And it plays up to 8 players, which is always great because we find ourselves a lot of times at conventions
Yeah.
or at parties where it's like, there's 7 or 8 of us. Like, what
Yeah,
can we
what
play?
can we play?
We're finding ourselves constantly pulling off Decrypto, so maybe we can add this one as one of the other ones that we can play. So that is our number 7, A Message from the Stars.
All right, moving on. Our number 6 is another game that was designed by 2 designers that we really love, and it is a game called Cities. So Cities is designed by Steve Finn and Phil Walker Harding, and it's published by Devir. And in this game, you are designing a neighborhood in a city. So I believe you're drafting projects, you're arranging them in your play area, and that is pretty much the extent of what I know from the BGG listing. But the reason why this game made our list is because we know that both designers are well known for making games that are pretty quick, but also very clever.
Oh, yeah.
So Phil Walker Harding has designed a ton of games, more notably Sushi Go, I believe Barron Park.
One of your favorites
another
is Gingerbread House.
Gingerbread House, yes.
One of our favorites,
That's
yeah.
one of my favorites that was designed by him. We actually still have that in our collection.
Oh, yeah.
And we play it every holiday season.
So often, yeah.
And Steve Finn also designs a lot of small, clever, a variety of theme kind of games. We cover a lot of them actually on our channel.
We try to,
and
yeah.
We actually really did one very recently, the
Fisheries of Gloucester.
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 Ah!
I looked it up and now I can't remember.
Now you
Fisheries
forgot.
of Gloucester.
Yes.
That's one of the more recent ones that we covered on the channel. That's a 2-player only game.
Yes.
But he has designed also one of my favorite games of all time, which is Biblios. Really, really like that game, especially at 4 players.
Yes. So this is a very interesting pairing. I don't know a whole lot more besides what we discussed, but I know that it is going to be quick and interesting.
Yeah, it
and that
says-
is why I'm looking forward to playing it.
It says 30 to 40 minutes on the box, also published by Devir Games, which I really appreciate their ability to condense box sizes.
Yes.
So having a lot of game in a little box.
Yeah. And they
Always a
also
good thing.
pay good attention to component quality, which I really appreciate as well. So that is our number 6, Cities.
Okay, moving on to the halfway point in our list. This one is number 5, coming to us from Arcane Wonders and designed by Mihir Shah. And this game is called Raz, A Dance of Love. Now, we heard about this game a couple weeks ago while we were at Dice Tower West when speaking with the designer. And it is based off of an Indian form of dance, a Gujarati style of dance. which obviously I am Indian, so this one immediately
Yes.
became one on my list, knowing that
Uh-huh.
it was going to be coming out. What's going on in this game is you have a bunch of different cogwheels with dice on them, and you're trying to match up dice as they spin on these gears. And so we don't know too much about the game because we
Yeah.
didn't actually physically see it in person, but it plays up to 6 players. And the concern with a lot of dice and a lot of choices at a higher player count is how much downtime is there going to be. We were assured by the designer that there's basically simultaneous thinking time. So turns are snappy and they kind of move and flow quickly. So don't know too much about the individual unique mechanisms of the game, but we are really excited for this one.
Yeah, I always really like to see how the mechanics are paired with the theme. And this is a really beautiful theme. In college, there was an Indian dance troupe who would dance this dance, and it is beautiful. So I'm really excited to check it out as well.
So that is number 5, Raz, A Dance of Love.
All right, moving on to number 4. So we talked a lot about theme in these games, and it seems like 2024 is going to be a good year for themes because this next game is one that I chose for that reason. It is designed by Roberta Taylor and published by Kids Table Board Games, and it is called Cafe Barras. So if you're not familiar with the animal on the cover, this is a capybara. It's
The
one of
world's
my
largest rodent.
Yes. And one of
Yeah.
the nicest animals in the wild or something. If you Google like nicest animal in the wild, it's probably in the top 5. So this is actually one of my favorite animals of all time. There's like Dexter Dotson, number 1, and then there's like giraffes and capybaras. And so all I know about this game is it is very, very cute. It's about, you're running a cafe, I believe, and it's a tableau building card game where the cards are actually multi-use. And so that is another reason why this game made the list, because I love games that implement multi-use. Doesn't matter how they do it, I just want to see how it's done. That coupled with the cute art, the adorable theme, and the designer as well. Roberta Taylor has designed games such as Creature Comforts and Maple Valley, which are both very well known in the sort of
Family weight games.
the family weight cute game space. And for those reasons, I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. As silly as it may be, last year when we traveled to Japan, we actually got to meet some capybaras.
2 capybaras, yeah.
Yeah.
They actually had a capybara cafe.
They did.
But they were not the ones running it.
I know.
Not like this game. I think
So-
in this game you are capybaras.
Yeah, so I just found it really funny that now this game is coming out. So that is our number 4, Cafe Barras.
Okay, moving on to number 3 on our list. This game has been one that we've heard about for quite some time now, so it's exciting to see that it's finally coming out in 2024. This one's going to be published by Devere Games, and it's designed by Jackie Fox, and it is called Rock Hard 1977.
Yes.
So the game's theme is essentially you are an aspiring rock star in the late 70s, and you are trying to make a name for yourself.
Yes, you're trying to accrue the most fame. You're trying to be the most famous. And it takes place in 1977. And each round, I believe, is like a day in a month in that year. And the designer of the game, by the way, is a member of the Runaways. So that is super cool to know that the designer is a rock musician, a really successful one. And I would love to play a game from that perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, designing a game about something that they know firsthand experience
Yeah.
of from the the 70s and the 80s.
Like who better?
Who
right?
better to design a game about trying to be a rock star in that
Yes.
time period?
So this is another game whose theme we really, really connect with because both of us, we both love playing music, we both play the guitar, and we love listening to rock music.
I love 70s rock. Yeah.
Yes. Other than that, that is the extent of what we know. I have seen some preliminary prototype pictures, and I've seen some like amp
dials?
amp dials, yeah, on there. I don't know
crank it.
exactly what's going to make the final copy of the game, but I am really looking forward to checking this one out.
So that is number 3, Rock Hard 1977.
All right, moving on to the final 2 games on our list. So far, you may have noticed that a lot of the games so far have been on the lighter end. And so these final 2 are going to be on the heavier side because we do like to play heavy games. Our number 2 is designed by S.J. McDonald and Shem Phillips, and it's published by Garphill Games, and it is called Inventors of the South Tigris. So if you're familiar with our channel, you know that we did a West Kingdom series. We haven't really covered many or any of the South series.
I think we included it in like a wrap-up video once.
Yes,
Wayfarers
that's
from
true.
last year.
Wayfarers. And the one that came out last year was on our Scholars. Thank you.
Scholars. Yeah.
Scholars is on our 2023 anticipated list. And that is one of the games that we got to play. And I will say, one of the reasons why this one made this list is because, wow, they are very they're very imaginative.
They are,
This
yeah.
series, this one in particular.
Uh-huh.
There was a North series that Garphill Games released, and that I felt like was more of an entry level. It's a lot easier to get into. The mechanics are things that you can quickly grasp, and people really, really enjoy that series. And then there was the West Kingdom series, which we covered, that has a sort of a variety of mechanics and weights.
Very different from game to game.
Very different, yes. But the later titles in that series skewed towards the heavier side, but still fairly, approachable. And then I feel like when we got into the South Tigris, these are more of an explorative series, right?
Lots to do. Lots to keep track of. Lots to
to learn.
think of.
Yeah, they're new mechanics that you don't really see a whole lot of in other games, and it really takes a minute for you to kind of grasp these games in this series.
Like which pathway to go on. I
Yeah.
remember the first time we played Wayfarers, which is the first in the series, because Inventors is the wrap-up trilogy of the trilogy. It's the final one. So Inventors, we don't know too much about, but Wayfarers, which is the first one, I remember the first time we played it, I was like, that is so much information. I have no idea how to take my first couple turns here.
Yes, we were frozen in
yeah.
the beginning, and I feel like that's how it is in the South Tigris. So the thing that I appreciate about this series in particular, though, is they are built around one main thing. There's the Wayfarers, which had the exploration map kind of thing, and then there was Scholars, which was all about translating scrolls. And then now there's Inventors, which sounds like it's all about inventing and building and all that kind of stuff. I thought that Scholars was really interesting. In Scholars, you have the combination of dice. You're now trying to create dice colors.
You're trying to create secondary colors to advance on guilds and to translate.
And you're also translating and trying to find like a map to be able to translate scrolls. So outside of that, I really don't know what this one is going to have in store. I think there's a lot of content out there for it. So if you're interested in it,
going to continue with the heavy, because unlike the West
see it.
Kingdom, Architects, you can objectively say was significantly lighter and more interactive than the next two, which was Paladins and Viscounts.
I feel like it was the last light game that they had released.
But Wayfarers, Scholars, and then now Inventors, from what we understand, is supposed to be one of the heavier ones. So it just kind of kept with the heaviness. So we really like heavy games. We like to cover kind of a wide variety of them on the channel. And so we are really looking forward to this one. So that is our number 2. That is Inventors of the South Tigris. Okay, and our number 1 game that we are highly anticipating this year coming out. I've heard about this one for quite some time as well, so it's nice to see that it's coming out this year. It is designed by Stefan Feld, and it's going to be published by Deep Print Games, and it's called Civolution. Now, this one is kind of being marketed as a medium to medium heavy game. So Stefan Feld is a designer that I really enjoy. Monique is sometimes hit or miss on some of his designs.
Yes.
So I was glad to see that we both came to a compromise, seeing that this is going to be number 1 on our list.
To be fair, I played one of the newer Stefan Feld games to come out, which is Marrakesh.
Marrakesh, yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. And so I feel like after that experience, I was back on the Stefan Feld train.
Yeah.
Now, some of the games that Stefan Feld has designed that I enjoy, I love. So
Castles
I
of
have
Burgundy,
definitely
of
like a love dislike relationship with his designs.
Yeah, no hate. Yeah.
No hate. There's nothing that I hate, but there's definitely some that I enjoy more than others. So this one sounds really interesting because I believe you are in an academy of sorts, and you are taking your final exam.
Yeah, you're
something like that.
You're on the final exam. The theme is kind of lost on me. You're like creating, like you're in an academy that creates civilizations or something.
Something like that.
I don't know.
You're placing dice. You're triggering actions along a tech tree, and that is the extent of what we know. I've also seen some pictures, but the pictures of the game, it's just like looking at a picture of Marrakesh. Like you look at all the boards and you're like, I have no idea what this game is going to do.
I don't know what that component is, so I can't glean any information off of what I'm looking at right now. So.
And by the way, it is not medium to medium heavy. It's medium heavy to heavy. So this may very well be the heaviest game on the list, depending on how Inventors goes. And so it's been a while since we've really, dug into a heavy game by these typically Euro focused designers.
Yeah, this one's another dice game from him. So I know Castles of Burgundy is a dice game by Stefan Feld that we really like. But Bora Bora is a dice game from Stefan Feld that Monique really dislikes.
You're outing me so much.
I am. Well, it is known. It is known.
Yeah. But again, that is the thing about Stefan Feld designs. I am always willing to try them out. It's kind of like watching M. Night Shyamalan movies.
I'll watch it. Doesn't mean it's always good.
You know the track record, but you're still curious about what that next one is going to be like.
What's the twist?
Anyway, that is our number 1 game on our most anticipated games list of 2024. It is called Civolution.
Well, there you have it. Those are the 10 games that are highly anticipated on our list for 2024. Hopefully, they are all coming out this year. You never know.
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of heavy games that we did not cover on this particular list, either because we've already covered them previously, or we have plans to cover them in the future,
Yes.
or we don't know about them yet.
Right,
That's also
because
possible.
this list is only made up of games that have already been announced. So a lot of games get announced as we get closer and closer to convention season. And so those games will be adding on to those lists. And also stay tuned because we are still going to be putting out a video going over and re-ranking our anticipated games from 2023. So we haven't
playing
forgotten
them.
about
Yep.
those.
Now, as per usual, please let us know what would make your list. We always love reading those comments, especially when we see games that get kind of repeated over and over. It instantly kind of triggers us that maybe this is something that we should look into. So we love your recommendations. Thank you so much to Van Ryder Games for helping sponsor this video. And thank you all so much for watching the video. We hope it was helpful. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.